she's not only allergic to chicken, she's allergic to anything with feathers. So turkey, duck, all of that. So we can vary her diet by giving her rabbit or kangaroo.
What about beef?
Oddly enough, you don't find a lot of beef. Well, we feed a raw cat food diet, so you don't find a lot of beef there. Like basically what they get is
fair enough
from the butcher, chopped up.
Yeah.
Pig.
Yeah.
Okay.
My daughter
I think we're live.
And
we are live. I can see it.
Okay.
I got 2 notifications.
All right. So we are live. Okay. So welcome everybody to Beyond the Cloud. It is Friday, June 12th, and we have some new faces today, which is very awesome. So anybody out there wants to join into the conversation, feel free to use the Zoom link. I will keep an eye out if anybody new names join up here, or feel free to just type into the Facebook feed. So we'll start with introductions. So I'm Tanya Hiltz, Cloud Bookkeeping Services and Tanya's Bookkeepers Bootcamp. And question, oh my gosh, I had a good question today. So yes, and yes, Lynn, we answer a question so that way people can know a little bit more about us. So there's always a question today, and I never usually know what I'm going to decide until that day. So a good question today would be, what is a band? And Richard Roper Roberts, if you're watching this, he asked me this, and I don't know that I gave the right answer that he had expected. So what is a band that most people would not expect you to like, that might surprise most people? So my response to that was always Air Supply, because my 3 favorite bands are the Beatles, Green Day, and Air Supply. But a lot of people know that I like, the Beatles and Green Day, but not a lot of people would know, if you like those kinds of music, that you also would like Air Supply. But apparently that's quite the popular choice. So I don't know. So, and it looks like everybody is thinking very hard. So we'll go, Stacy, you can go next.
My name is Stacy Stanley Young. I'm from Stanley Young Business Strategies in Winnipeg. My favorite, a band that you would be surprised that I like.
Yes.
I listen to CBC Radio 1 a lot, so I don't listen to a lot of music. Of course, I like the Madonnas and the Beatles and the really big ones. There's an independent Canadian band called the Arrogant Worms. They're actually a comedy troupe that happens to sing. So I don't know if it would be surprising that I would know them, but most people don't know of them. So it's an unusual band that I like.
There we go. Sounds good.
You don't like the question? Change the question.
That's exactly right. Exactly. That works. It works. All right, Lynn, you can go next.
Hi, I'm Lynn James. I'm from Abbotsford, BC. My company is Data Link Office Solutions. And band, oh my gosh, I like so many different kinds of bands. Right now, I'm going to favor Pentatonics.
Oh, okay. Good one.
Yeah.
I've heard a few of their stuff, and I really love how they get the melody going, and they're quite impressive.
It is so different.
Yeah. Very different. Absolutely. All right, Jennifer, are you there, or did you have to leave us for a moment? We'll see if she's come back. Nope, she had to walk away. Okay, Diane, are you there? Nope. Okay, well, they missed. Oh, wait, Jennifer, here you are. Okay, great.
Hi, but I missed what we're doing. Introduction?
That's okay. So, of course, introduce yourself, and then what is a band that you like that most people might be surprised that you like them?
Oh.
I know. Well, something like that. I probably should have decided in advance and emailed out to everybody. Here's the question. Have it ready.
Okay. So I'm Jennifer Solon, Time Advantage Accounting Solutions out of Red Deer, Alberta. And that I like, I don't know, I kind of like a lot of everything. Well, most things. I probably couldn't think of anything. Basically, I like 80s pop and 90s country. So I'm really excited because I got tickets to see Lori Morgan and Pam Tillis, who, if you don't know 90s country, wouldn't know who those are.
Yeah.
No, they were really big in the early 90s in country. So, but that got kind of exciting. But Yeah, no, I don't really know anything in particular.
You can do what I did, Jennifer. If you don't like the question, just
Change
change
it.
the question.
Change the question. Yeah, well, yeah, basically 80s music and 90s country. My husband, I get to experience a lot because he's quite into the jazz and blues and stuff. So we get to see some pretty stuff that other people haven't ever heard of. But
Awesome.
I don't know of any off the wall bands. We try to see as much live music as we could before
Right.
around here, but yeah, I can't think of anything.
Okay. Well, that's okay. So in other words, nobody would be surprised at anything then, right?
No, I guess not. Yeah, we do a lot of blues. There's a country music singer. She's kind of up and coming. Her name is Lindsay L. And she actually started as a blues singer. And then she went down to Nashville and she's won last year, the year before, the up and coming country rising star or something, whatever they call it. And she's pretty good. We went to see her. So yeah, well, it's pretty much
Okay.
pretty much generic. It's not like I'm like secret headbanger or anything or in the punk. I don't. Again, generation wise, I don't listen to my kids' music. Although what surprises me is she really likes our 1980s heavy metal stuff like Quiet Riot. And,
I love all that
Sister
stuff.
Sister
See,
and stuff. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
funny. The one thing that people seem to say they're surprised with me, which it kind of surprises me because if Green Day is one of my favorite bands, when I was in high school, I was punk and goth. So everyone's like, "Ooh, I want pictures of that," because it was, very either colorful or very, black. It's, the great big raccoon eyes and, either that or the makeup very colorful that like went right out to, yeah. So people are like, I want pictures, but I can't seem to find pictures of me back in those days.
No.
But anyway, so Diane,
Hi.
so the day is, what is a band that some people would be surprised that you like? After you introduce yourself, of course.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Diane Mueller. And a band that I like that would surprise everyone. Well, I will tell you about a family connection band, but I'm not sure that you guys would recognize them. And it's a Canadian band, but I have a cousin that was the lead guitar and singer for Crowbar. So what most people recognize that band for is Oh What a Feeling. They still get tons of royalty. Yeah, they still get tons of royalty for that one. Right. Because that certainly made the top hits and things back then. Right. So, and that's my cousin. But what kind of music that I like to listen to would I don't know, like I like a lot of jazz. My absolute favorite singer would probably be something jazzy. Yeah. Don't have a lot of real bands that I listen to, more just jazz music and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Nice.
So soulful stuff with lots of clarinet and that kind of stuff.
Sounds like, Diane, you need to come to Winnipeg on a non-COVID year when we have our jazz festival. Yeah. And Jennifer, you need to come to Winnipeg for our blues festival, blues and barbecue.
I do too. I love blues. Lady Sings the Blues is probably my favorite album. It's also my favorite movie. If anybody's ever seen it, Diana Ross stars in it. It's called Lady Sings the Blues. If you're bored sometime and need a movie to watch, look it up. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Awesome. So we have online, we've got Cindy said hers would be Devo, which of course I love Whip It. Love that song. Sal just says it looks so comfy on my sofa. It's actually my great big chair. It's a chair and a half, but it's my oversized chair that, yes, we just got. So thank you. But then Jackie's joined us on Zoom, but she's just typing in. So Jackie, if you feel free that you would love to chat in, feel free to unmute yourself and chat. If you feel you would like to stay like this, that is perfectly fine. I'll watch the chat. But she says they're actually, they were looking so forward to seeing Motley Crue, Poison, Def Leppard, and Joan Jett, which has now been postponed. And that's actually should be a really, really good lineup. Yeah.
No, Jackie, at least we know, or you know, that the concert has been postponed. We actually last year, Cher was coming to town. We had our tickets. We were all excited. We were at the arena, the pre-brand or the whatever
Pre-show?
came in and played, and we waited and we waited, and they had left stage, and it was about 20 minutes later, and somebody from Cher's group came up and said, "We're so sorry, she's not feeling well tonight."
Oh no.
So we were sitting there and we're like, that is the most disappointing evening.
Well, she's like 70.
And it was the day, after her birthday. Like, I'll give her that. But that was the thing is that she's not coming back to Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Like, because she.
You know what? You gotta know. What is that old Kenny Rogers, song? You gotta know when to fold them. Like.
Yep, absolutely. But no, I get that. I mean, I was Green Day. I've liked them for years. And just before they got popular, they actually did. So just before American Idiot, they did one last tour. And you guys are not from Ontario. So anybody out there from Ontario will know I lived in a little town called Innisfil, which was right outside of Barrie. There is a little tiny town that was a suburb of Innisfil that was called Lefroy, and they played a show in the Lefroy Arena. So imagine a small town of 5,000 population, the little tiny arena. Nobody would go with me, so I ended up not going. And then 2 months later, they released American Idiot, and now there's no way that I would ever be able to. They're not playing tiny arenas that fit 200 people anymore. So it's, you know what? You also got to know, on top of knowing when to fold them, you got to know when to grab them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that you don't end up missing those opportunities. I ended up 3 other times after that, I ended up not being able to make it. So I finally saw them, and we were 18th row floor center stage. But again, it was just very, very different environment. I'd much rather have seen them. So grab the chance when you can.
Yeah, we were disappointed in 2014. We were in Vegas, and we bought tickets specifically to see Shania Twain.
Oh.
Love Shania. And last show of her home set in Vegas, and they canceled the same morning. It's like, that was disappointing. So disappointing, because she's not come back since.
She ended up having, I believe, I may be wrong on this, I believe she ended up having throat surgery.
Yeah.
Something, I thought there was something with that with her throat, and she is just starting to kind of get into it again, but whether she actually will tour, who knows?
Yeah.
So I thought we would talk about today. So this is great with you being here, Diane. And Nao, hello. We've got Nao joining us, watching on Facebook, Nao Carter Gray, for anybody who knows her in the States. I'd love, Nao, if you're hearing us, come join us live on Zoom, because I, would love to be able to get a U.S. opinion on the topic. I know, come on, Nao. So I don't know if she just jumped in or she's actually watching, continuing to watch. But with what we're all faced right now with our clients, and some of our clients, sorry, just looking here, Jackie just made a note. She's actually multitasking, so she's keeping her video off.
Jackie's always multitasking.
I know she does, doesn't she? Yeah, but with what we're going through, I mean, I know we've been lucky up until now, and I know a lot of, there's a lot of people that have been very lucky up until now, that our clients are, still all making it through. We haven't had too much of an impact, but now that this is continuing to go on with the COVID, are our clients starting to decide, what, maybe I'm not going to reopen. Maybe I am just going to shut down the business, or, staying longer, or asking us to drop our fees, and then scope creep happening as they start to reopen. So we started to have this conversation in we've got a Bootcamp COVID check-in where we just kind of check in weekly, which is just before this. And I thought this was a great conversation to be able to share out and see how other people feel about this, get that conversation going to maybe help people out there that are faced with clients calling saying, can you, cancel your fees because you haven't done work for me in the last 3 months, or, again, helping them through that. So I thought that was a great conversation. So what we had kind of started to talk about was some ideas about that, maybe offering a slight discount, because of course, those of us who have value priced or fixed price, it's very difficult. We've got, things to take into account. Is how much work is it did we do beforehand? How much work is going to be done when we're starting everything back up? And are we doing any work or help with that client through their shutdown? I mean, if they're a hair salon, they're just shut down. There's nothing is happening. It's not easy to help coach them through. And if they're qualifying and not using our help to be able to qualify for any of these government programs, so we kind of, we're talking about those, maybe offering temporary discounts. It's all about the conversation and the relationship with your client. So, Lynn and Diane and then Jackie, if you'd like to type in, I would love to hear your comments on them. And maybe while you guys take a few minutes, Jennifer and Stacey can share what they share. Thoughts? I don't know.
I can jump in. I've been really fortunate. So a couple of things. One, I only had a couple of clients who shut down, who absolutely just, their business is traveling around the world. That's what they do. And so they've just shut down. So I was able to turn around and say, well, you're not generating any invoices, or you're not generating invoices out. You're not generating bills for me to deal with. You're, when you do start up, you don't have a whole bunch of startup costs. Like, we're not, like your example earlier, Tanya, was the restaurant and they have to go and buy a big food shop. So when they do start back up, they're not going to be generating a whole bunch of that. And so I was able to turn around and say, I have to charge you a minimum because I have to make sure I cover the software costs and whatnot. And they've been great. We in Manitoba, our hairdressers went back after a month. Like, they went back at the beginning of May. And our therapists have gone back at 50% at the beginning of May, and mid-June. So next week, they're going to go back at 75%. So we've been able to reopen a little bit faster. So I don't have as many clients who are just completely and utterly shut down, other than the one whose job it is to travel around the world. And so I have, on a case-by-case basis, kind of gone, yep, you're right. I was actually a little proactive and said, because of this, I'm actually giving you a discount before they even came to me and talked to me. But that wasn't everybody. Our one food client, we actually didn't give a discount to because our scope had changed, but it was still the same amount of work, and she saw a lot of value in that. And so we've been lucky.
Yeah, and that's it with all of our clients. The scope has changed, and I did the goodwill. Now that things are starting to come back up, I'm going to go back and start charging extra for that extra stuff. But anyway.
Oh, hooray, hooray, hooray.
Yeah, we talked about that last week too. And that's it. I said, okay, I've given 3 months of goodwill, but now that things are starting to open up, you know what? I can't continue to do this. It's still taking a lot of time. So they're going to be told this is the last month they're processing this. If they want that continued support, there will be charges. So we've already had one person sign on to take it. They've got 4 employees a month, and it's $100 extra a month. So it's not a lot, but it is enough to help cover, right?
Mm-hmm.
Help cover, make it worth it. And with 4 employees, again, they're part-time. She's not getting like, tens of thousands back either, right? So, and I'm sure, Diane, I know you've got lots to say on that too. You're the scope creep queen. So yeah, what are your thoughts on any of that for, again, those clients that are, you're really not doing, and that's where it's really hard. You're really truly not doing the work. You're not help advising them through this because either they don't listen or they're just in, that type of field where there's nothing more for them to do. So like, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think there's kind of two things. One is, that client that was, phoning you up or sending you an email on the very first day of COVID-19 saying, don't send me a bill because I can't afford it. I'm, COVID-19's here. I truthfully would be thinking that's not the client going forward for me.
Right.
And I literally had one of those clients and he's no longer a client.
I fired two so far.
Yeah.
I fired one last month and one this month.
Because what you do get to find out through things like this is who is the clients that are just having you there for compliance. They really don't see your value. They're really not engaged with you. You're just that damn accounting expense that they have to do because they're not willing to do it, basically. They don't want to deal with CRA. So you're just like their safety net, and often you're the person that they can fall back on, or I hate to say it, but blame when things, go wrong. And they're the client that, down the road, you hear things like, well, my bookkeeper told me to do that kind of client, right? And you didn't ever tell them to do that.
Yeah.
So I think that we all had an opportunity to assess our clients a little bit more. Agree. Yeah. So that was a good thing because we need to clean them out and get rid of them so that we can move forward. And then I think Stacey and Tanya, you were absolutely right. It's about being proactive. So if you're not going to be doing any work for that client because their invoicing has stopped immediately at COVID-19 and it's not going to start up again for a while, then it's about being proactive and an honest conversation with them saying, how do you see this moving forward? And going in really prepared, like already know their numbers, already know what it is that is going to cause them grief over the next COVID time. Like if they've got high receivables, like that's got to be your initial conversation and putting together a strategic plan to help them get those receivables in so that they don't see that at you as an expense, but as a, really proactive, so it's about really digging in and looking at their financials and seeing where you can best help them. And then you being the one that approach them and say, look, I know I'm not going to be doing invoicing. I know I'm not going to be paying a lot of bills. Restaurants, for example, they shut down completely, right? So everything stopped. But, going in and showing them areas in their financials that is, that's going to cause them a problem and what you can be proactive about to help them through. And then of course, being really aware of, as all of us were, on what was going on program wise, getting to know that program really well, that you can advise them. Now, note that I'm not saying that you file it for them. Okay. That's a decision that you're going to have to look at individually.
Yep.
I made the decision I was not filing for any of my clients. I'd walk them through it, but I was not filing for them because I just knew that the government was changing things every single, second day. And if I put in something and filed it through the third party on CRA, and then they changed it 2 days later, didn't matter how much due diligence I did, there very well could be a problem in the end. And I wasn't going to be the one that would, so right. They, we would walk through it together. We did them together, but they knew that they were going to be ultimately responsible. And it was amazing to me how many of them decided not to go with things when they knew they were going to be ultimately responsible.
Yep.
Which was another, telltale sign that they were fine if you were going to take the responsibility, but not fine if they were going to take the responsibility for it. So
Right.
And then, making them really aware of the fact that just as we're seeing this week, that there is going to be a lot of auditing done by CRA and all of that stuff, so that they need to be prepared for it. And which is another real value that you can bring to the table, is helping them be prepared for an audit ahead of time. Again, being proactive, because those audits are going to come, and you don't want to be that bookkeeper that, they get the audit and then you start scrambling to come up with all the paperwork and all of that. So I think that, that attitude had to be proactive from the beginning, and then really knowing the numbers. You have to dig in. You can't be that data entry bookkeeper. In times like this, you got to dig in and really know the numbers and the hidden numbers inside the financials.
Absolutely. So Lynn, as a newcomer, what's your opinions on this then? And it's Lynn's first time with us, so we need to go good on her. And of course, I threw in the tough question right away. Right?
Yeah. It's been a little tough because all but one of my customers was shut down.
Oh no.
Not by their choice,
right?
The industry that they were in or the facility. It just, in BC, shutdown came and it was across the board.
Yep.
So challenging. I struggle with the one guy. He didn't shut down completely, but his revenue dropped by 86%.
Oh, wow.
And that was a tough one,
Yeah, that's
So he's still working through it because he's got to do something.
all you can do, right? You work so hard to build the business that you just have to try to work through it. Yeah.
But the revenues are not coming up that fast, even though things have opened up. People are still very cautious, and with good reason.
Yep.
We've had some increases lately in COVID, and none of us, I think, want to see us have to shut down completely again.
Absolutely. Well, and you know what? I'm just going to jump in here and do a big plead out to the Canadians right now. I will share this link momentarily as soon as I'm done speaking, because I can't do two things at once on Fridays, because Fridays are so crazy. Multitasking does not happen on Fridays. However, I've been working very, very hard. Some know this, that I've been working really hard with Intuit to get a survey done up for these businesses that are falling through the cracks. Yeah. We have the survey done. It is released today. Intuit will be sending it out to 25,000. I want 10 to 20,000 responses. I've got very lofty goals, but this has been my passion project for the past 6 weeks. So Intuit will be sending it out to 25,000 of their small business clients not connected with an accountant. So a large amount of the QuickBooks self-employed. IPBC will be sending that out, I believe, on Monday. The link will be going out through IPBC. I have sent it out to the boot campers and my clients this morning. It will go on Facebook. I've got a lot of, the bookkeepers and the accountants that are waiting for this to pass along. So it is geared towards that. So basically what we did, we worked backwards, because Intuit has a survey department. I did not know that. So as soon as they heard what I was doing, they said, yes, we would love to help. Like, can we get the results? And I said, sure. I don't know really what I'm doing. And they said, you know what? We have a survey department. So we've been working together. And so what we did is we took the scenarios, we brought forth about 20 to 30 different scenarios of business that were falling through the cracks. And then the survey, Anna, this is her job, and she's taking today off. So I don't know. She actually popped on, I think, and was watching last week. So if you end up watching this week, hi, Anna, you did an awesome job. But so she worked backwards to build the questions to get the answers that we need, because CFIB is not asking the right questions. And when I talked to their lobbyists, I told them, you guys are not asking the right questions. Nobody knows better than the bookkeeper the detail of and the personal of details of these businesses and why they're falling through the cracks. nobody knows that better than the bookkeeper.
Yeah.
So we've been doing that. So Better Business Bureau, we've got a connection. Carol Kostachuk has connected me with somebody over there who I'll be emailing him this afternoon. They want to send it out to all of their Canadian, from my understanding, to all their Canadian members. That's 30,000. We've sent it out to our Chamber of Commerce. Apparently it's 1% of the people respond to the survey, but the way that I've kind of worded the email, which I'll post that in here too. So if anybody wants to take the same wording, please do and take that forward. It's because I think that, again, if this is forwarded to those businesses and our clients, and we ask our clients to please forward it to their friends and family who have small businesses who are affected and falling through the cracks, it can make change. IPBC is going to be presenting this to the government. The results, the government knows the results are coming and apparently are quite interested because they are now going to see who is falling through the cracks and be able to see these results, and are apparently they're quite excited that Intuit and IPBC is working together, or from my understanding anyway.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm going to share that. So I'm going to beg and plead for everybody in Canada to please send that out and ask everybody to try to share that, because we're all in this together, and together we can make change to help get those businesses that are falling through the cracks, and that may make a difference between some of them.
Falling through, when you say falling through the cracks, do you mean falling through the cracks as not being able to open back up, or falling through the cracks as not getting help?
Well, not getting any help, which really affects whether they can open or not.
Yeah.
If they could get through. I mean, if you look at 72% of all businesses in a small town, downtown core, so not your big towns, but like Belleville at 50,000 is definitely one of them. Canada-wide, probably very similar for the States, for those Americans watching as well. So I know Linda Artesini said there, hey, Linda, pop on if you like. But they will not make it. They are mom and pop shops. They do not pay themselves through payroll. They are family run. They are still sole props. They did not incorporate. They're not getting the rent break because their landlord doesn't want to give them the rent break, but yet they're not open because they're not essential.
Yeah. Exactly.
So they are not going to make it through. And these people are the lifeline. 82% of jobs, and we know these numbers, but if there's any non-bookkeepers out there watching, or anybody who's not aware, 82% of the jobs in Canada anyway are from a small business. Yeah. 82% of the population is employed by small business.
In the news this morning here in Vancouver, they've got some numbers that they had this morning on the news, that 30 to 40% of our restaurants in Vancouver will not make it through the next 6 to 8 months.
Sorry, Linda's just joined on, and I love her shirt.
He's swirling. He likes my shirt.
But but you're absolutely right with that, Diane. It's the restaurants are not going to make it either, or not reopening. And so the Restaurant Association, Sherry Lee Mathers has connections there. She is sending them the link to the survey, and I would love to send it to the US. Unfortunately, it's Canada only, but hey, Allison Ball just joined. So Allison, if you're watching, you can feel free to come and join us, but I've worked with Intuit Canada on this survey. So all you have to do is contact Anna, and you guys could get this and share it to the US as well. I just didn't, we don't know about the US. We don't know the detail of the US funding and the aid as well as we do Canada, of course.
Jackie just posted in the chat box that we're anxiously awaiting for the CEBA loan for the soul props. Amen, sister.
Apparently next week. That's what we've heard. Apparently next week. So
we can't wait too many more weeks.
Well,
and
that's exactly
fluctuate. That's going to fluctuate too, depending on the province that you're in, because here in BC, the reason why 40% of the restaurants are not going to make it is because of the restrictions that our government has put on the reopening. So the restaurants can only be 50% full. Mind you, I say that now, but they've actually just changed that restriction a bit. But 50%, restaurants don't make that kind of profit to be able to only have 50% and still make it, right? Like the reality or the fact that most of these government bodies don't have a handle on really how these little small businesses make it from paycheck to paycheck. We know they all live paycheck to paycheck. And when I say that, I mean payroll to payroll, right? If they've got any employees. But, I don't know. Like, you'd think they'd have these statistics with just the tax returns that go in. But for some reason, they don't understand how these profit margins are not there to be able to half open up or even 3/4 of the way open up and expect them to be able to stay in business.
Now, are they doing that in the States, Linda? Because again, I'm really focused on Canada's open. So are they putting the same restrictions on restaurants in the States?
It depends on the state, and in like a lot of states, like I live in a big state, so I'm in Florida, so it depends on like location because they're watching numbers, but most of them, we're in phase 2 right now. So phase 2, 50% can come to the restaurant inside, but they have to have so many feet apart, and outside dining is okay, but you don't want to, it's so hot here, you don't want to be outside. So because for a while there, they were having, most of them were surviving on the takeout, but takeout was like 15% of their normal revenue. So that's, you can't, like just like Diane said, you cannot, they live so tight. I mean, they don't have a big profit margin. So, and I just feel bad for all the people that are working and not working. And it's just sad. And we've done takeout here, but it's not, I mean, you can only do that so many times too. And a lot of them delivered or you go pick it up. And, we had some really fancy pizza one night because they had to switch to something that was a little bit more portable. Because you're not going to get a big steak and then drive it home and be cold and then you heat it up and then it's cooked all the way through. So they just switched to like fancy pizza, but I forgot what we spent on the pizza. But I feel bad for the guy. We have a favorite guy. This is a really high-end restaurant. And the guy was it's our favorite restaurant, so we go for special occasions. And I don't want to see it close. And we went there, and the guy that brings the food he'll deliver to your house if you're close enough. He's the guy. I used to say to my husband, he makes more money. He makes more money than we do. It's all cash parking the cars, but he's been around for a long time. But a family, when you get to know these people, and then all of a sudden, they're out of work basically. And I just hope things will get a little bit better, but who knows? I mean, I don't. They usually pack it in, and really the bar is where they make a lot of money. And you're gonna have like a seat with caution tape on it every other. I mean, how are they gonna make money there?
Well, yeah, well, exactly. And, I mean, the bars have a bigger profit margin if they're, if they're a happening bar. But I think what restaurants, and we've only got 2 restaurants, and I know they're not usual, but isn't it about 20%, in between 10 to 20% on average for restaurants? So really
but here's a really good point about that, actually, Tanya. And I was reading an article the other day about it. So bars typically do have a bit bigger profit margin, and the more booze they sell, the better they do, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. There's a huge movement out here right now for bars to be able to buy their liquor at even more reduced price right now. In fact, the same price that the government liquor control board can buy the liquor for, so that they can then have, an opportunity with only 50% of the space in their bar to make more money. Now, that's a way that the government could help.
Yeah.
They're doing a COVID surcharge too. So they're doing a COVID surcharge. So you get a charge on your receipt for it's $2.99 or whatever. I just saw it with Brandon posted it. And so you get a little bit of a fee to kind of cover, I don't mind paying that. I just feel really bad for the people in that industry.
Right. But they could move that back one and give it at the purchase price of all the liquor that the bar's buying, right? Mm-hmm. So that, their cost of goods is down, cost of the food is down, and then, be able to make their profit margins a little bit higher. So, it really does take thinking outside of the box in every area right now to make it all maybe work.
And, I want to say that, because I talked about this morning in the morning meeting, and this is a little bit of a kind of, I guess, flip here, but in the US, there was, because of course you guys were opening before we did. And, of course I was a little worried about all of that stuff with everything reopening. But, and again, like, how is it going to work? But it's kind of good. Like, somebody's got to do it first, but it's kind of good that we can watch and see how it is. So your hairdressers, I'm not sure what state it is, but they opened. Yeah. Hair salons went out, and apparently they were working, did not realize they did like 140 people in like a day or 2 days or whatever, had COVID, weren't showing. It's now been 2 weeks later. Everybody was advised of that. They all went quarantined. But because everybody, customers and staff, everybody wore masks, everybody took the proper precautions, everybody used a hand sanitizer, not one new case out of all of those 140 people, which is very encouraging to hear that if you're following the proper protocols, you're not going to work when you're sick, you're wearing your mask, you're using that, your clients are, you're doing all of that. And the staff had COVID, but did not pass it to anybody. That was really encouraging to hear.
A lot of people getting tested here in the US has made it very easy. I had an email today from a lab that I do my blood work, and they're like, come on in, get the blood test. I mean, not the blood test, it's the one they put up the nose. So a lot more people, you'll see the cases may rise, but it's just people being tested.
Testing is also rising.
Testing.
Yeah.
So it's not so much, Florida's actually been pretty good. California's done the best job, I think. They had the lowest, where Matthew lives, his town had like the lowest, I don't know if it's still the case, but his town had like the lowest amount of people of the whole state, which is crazy. But they closed way before, like there was like 3 or 4 weeks ahead of us. We were way behind.
Yeah, California was the first in North America to close.
Mhm.
So, and to start doing that. So yeah. And we were way behind you guys, right? So like even up here in Canada, but yeah, no, that's good. So sorry, Jackie, she's got somebody's multitasking. She's got lots to say here. So Jackie, you just should come in and speak. Anyway, so she just jumped back that they're debating whether or not they want to assist clients to apply some of the benefits. So back to what you were talking about, Diane, or just advising them the high liability decisions for the firms. And if they do a waiver letter will need to be signed, or what they charge it or offer it for free. So what we're doing, we have been filing for the clients. I do have them sign a waiver. I do not do anything until their books are closed, reconciled, closed, no questions, no transactions outstanding.
Lockdown. Nobody can change anything.
Exactly. When it is done and it is locked and they're reconciled and everything is good, then I will run their numbers and then decide at that point. But then, so I'll take a quick look. Then I trigger a questionnaire off to them that they need, or it actually triggers a contract that they need to answer and sign, stating that they have, submitted everything to us. There is nothing that we do not have. We are working with all the information. And then another little codicil that says, we can only work it with the best of the information that we have at the time. They sign that, then I actually work it out, have them sign the attestation and file for that.
And date it, and it's got a date on it, right?
Yep. We're using DocuSign, so that's been working well. Again, Jackie, we've been doing that for free the first 3 months, but that is no more. Everybody, I'm letting them know that, again, that was a goodwill offer. Things are opening back up. They can do it themselves, or here's the charge, for us to do it. So I do know I charge one person $100, and she's got 4 employees. So I charge $100 a month for 4 employees. So again, everybody will be different depending on the amount of work involved. And that's the first person we talked to about it, the first person who took it. And then Jackie's also put in, people will also have money for alcohol, drugs, and sex. It's human nature, oddly. So those businesses will survive, likely thrive. And then the reason behind deeming liquor stores essential services is eye-opening, which is, I didn't think that liquor stores should be essential until it was pointed out to me that people going through withdrawals, the alcoholics going through withdrawals, would now end up flooding our medical system. And I'm like, oh, okay. I never really thought about it like that, because I'm not an alcoholic. I don't drink.
This is a really sad effect that's happened. But in May in Vancouver, and we have the highest drug problem for the downtown east side. In May, we had 85 people overdose and die. In March. It went up in April considerably, and in May we had 180. So it's gone up by over 100 people in that month that have died from overdose of fentanyl. And they are putting it all down to COVID, because the supply chain has been broken with the border closed, and they're getting drugs that have been tampered with, and all kinds of things going on, plus people in the attempt to stay distance, they're actually using the drugs by themselves, and then there's nobody there to actually, you know, the red flag that something's wrong and we need an ambulance kind of thing. So the death rates have doubled in a month.
Well, and there's probably a little bit of that. They're probably using a little bit of more because of, you know, the anxiety that this is having on everybody. This is having a real bad mental impact on people.
Yeah.
So if you don't handle things, but that's, I never really thought about that, you know, from all of that perspective. And that's really sad.
It is really sad.
Yeah, hopefully, I mean, and we don't, you know, and again, I live in, you know, we live in a small town here, you know, Belleville, 50,000 people, mostly college. We have our drug use here, but it's not as much.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's, you don't see it. You don't really know what's going on sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's probably the same reason, same everything elsewhere. You know, regardless of whether even the borders being closed. You know, again, like Mexican borders, you know, closed, can't get into the States. But even regardless of that, it's probably, again, you know, a lot of the good stuff, the high quality stuff is likely flown in, and
and a smaller supply means they'll cut it more, and they cut it with things like fentanyl.
Right. And they're probably just adding, you know, the kitchen, you know, the kitchen chemicals or whatever, and doing more of that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I guess, I never really thought about any of that because, again, I'm not a user. So, which is obviously a good thing.
Sorry, what was that, Lynn?
We don't go out with the intent of killing our customers because there'll be a new one down the corner. I know it's a bit morbid, but why would you do that? I've never figured that out. Why would you cut the drug with something that will kill them?
You know why, Lynn?
No.
Because there's always another one around the corner, unfortunately.
They probably don't realize that, you know, that much will, or that it'll have that much of an impact. I would think, because you're right. If you're cutting off part of your supply chain, like that's what, when my daughter started high school, I said, sure, do not let, if you want to, you know, try to test anything out, you know, you get curious, please come and talk to me, because the job of the, you know, the dealer at the high school, they want to get you addicted so that you buy from them. So even if you want to try, you know, pot, because it's now legal, if you want to try that, you don't know what you're getting when you buy somebody, because they want you to become addicted to it.
Yeah.
So, you know, do not go to them. Please do come to me.
Oh, when you think about it, it's very scary right now. They found in pot, in weed, fentanyl.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But that's intentional.
Yeah.
Well, you could argue that, yes. But there's you know, like I say, there's another person coming right around the corner for these people. I mean, the drug culture is never getting smaller. It's only gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
Yeah, I guess.
That's so sad. But
just another negative effect of COVID. But
yeah. Well, it's having, you know, and I mean, again, you look at, you know, all the people, you know, again, like there's a higher suicide rate, there's a higher all of that. And, you know, I mean, like I've talked to my husband, you know, we talk about different things like this. And, you know, like there was an accountant out west who, it was a murder suicide with his family. You know, his son survived it. I think it was just below Edmonton. I think it was several weeks ago. And, you know, you take the stress of all of this and the clients and everything else that he was dealing with, but he obviously was not mentally well to begin with. You know, maybe he couldn't get to, you know, his meds. Maybe he was able to cope and didn't realize that he should be, you know, speaking to a counselor or something. You know, we don't know, but obviously he wasn't well to begin with, but this extra stress that this has put on him, you know.
But even think about it so think about it in this way. I'm feeling, you know, really, really anxious and upset about things, and I'm stressed out. Normally, I would go to my doctor's office. Oh, I can't. My doctor's not actually taking any patients or seeing any patients right now. You go to the hospital. Oh, if I go to the hospital, I'm going to get COVID. Like, it's
there's nowhere to turn.
There's nowhere to turn when they need it right now.
Yeah. Well, I had to break down for the first week because all that came to me, and that's why we've turned everything off. The only TV I watch is when Trudeau talks, and that's it. I do not check the COVID numbers, and I only watch it when he talks about the financial. So every day at like 11:15, and then I shut it right off. We're not watching any live TV for anything. Everything is pre-recorded, so I can choose what I fast forward to. Because just, all of this, everything that's going on, like in the States and in Canada. And when I heard him today, he was talking about, again, the RCMP, attacked a Native chief. And, that came out. I tend to get curious and I absorb all that energy and I'm just like, I can't do it. So I have to block it all out and just focus on what I can focus on, which is why, I've worked with the survey and tried to say, okay, how can I help? I can try to help build the survey, try to help change the government to, try to come up with better aid for, these people that are falling through the cracks. And that's what I can do. And that's what I have to focus on because it's so easily can happen. I mean, there's depression runs in my family. So it's, my mother committed suicide. So I know what the depression is like. So I'm like, nope, I need to keep this, bubble myself around it so that I can keep going because, that's a scary, I mean, I never would because I was 21 when she committed suicide. So I would never, ever do that to my child, but still the depression and having to, deal with all of it. It wasn't good to, growing up with it.
Even I find myself when I go out, now I have an anxiety about having too many people in a crowd to begin with. But when I go out, I'm like, oh, you're coming too close to me. Like it's just heightened everything.
It has.
Right.
It really has.
So this would really be bothering some people just naturally. And
I've turned into a hypochondriac.
Mhm.
I've left the house twice or left the property twice to go to 2 chiropractor's appointments, one yesterday and one the previous Thursday. And I was almost shaking when we got back from the other one. I wore my mask. They wore their mask. I watched them clean because they know that I'm high risk for multiple reasons. So they cleaned everything right in front of me to make sure that little tiny bar that my face would be near was still cleaned off. But you're right. It heightens because normally during normal season, I still a little bit of a germaphobe and whatnot because I know that if I catch something, it's so easy with all my allergies and everything too. But you're right, it heightens everything and yeah.
Here's a piece of good news. I'm going to go see Bianca and Cole on Sunday.
Oh, yay!
So excited.
And Jennifer's going to see her new grandchild too. So that's awesome. We've got 2 of you that are going to see.
Yeah. We're just going to meet in the park and, we'll have a picnic in the park so everybody can, stay distanced in 6 feet and be outside and stuff. But yeah, I'm super excited because I haven't seen them at all. Yeah.
Because you guys were supposed to see each other the weekend the lockdown started, weren't you? He was supposed to come out that weekend.
Yeah, well, that was gonna be a big
break or
birthday.
something.
Yeah, Cole's birthday, and he was coming here for a couple weeks, and yeah.
Yeah, and Jennifer has a new grandson from this week that she gets to go see next week or the week after. The week after, I think.
I remember when she I remember when she announced it. She had gone to her daughter had.
Yeah. So he was born on the 1st, so he's 11 days old today, and and everything's going really well. And we're leaving hopefully at midnight on the 24th, and then we have to self-isolate for 14 days while we're there. So that'll be almost harder to be that close to him, but at least after that 14 days we can hold him and touch him and.
So you have to self-isolate for 14 days while you're there. Then you get to see him. And then when you come home, you're going to have to self-isolate for another 14 days.
Yeah.
I'm not even thinking about leaving yet. We'll find out. I guess I'll find out when I come back from what the Alberta rules are, right? Alberta, we started phase 2 today. So we were talking about restaurants earlier. Restaurants are allowed to be 100% capacity as long as there's 6 feet between people, which is not physically possible in most restaurants.
No.
Yeah.
So who knows what it'll be in August. And I mean, if that's the case, I have to stay home in August for 2 weeks, then I do. But
Right.
We'll figure it out. We have to pass through the Toronto airport, and that's the only really thing that's scaring me. There are no cases right now in my area, so I'm not worried about, and there's no cases where she is out there. So
And
it's just the
Toronto
airplane.
Yeah, Toronto is, I think, the second highest city in Canada.
Yeah.
With it, we've got
Well, see, it's not like we're leaving the airport, right? We're going from one plane, we're staying in
Right.
domestic security, we're getting on another plane. It's just who else is getting on those domestic planes, right?
Right.
Who else is getting off an international plane coming through and into the domestic area to fly? Because there's only a few places to fly in domestically, like to fly in internationally. But
I'd say, you know
stay
what?
away from people.
Exactly. If you take a look at, that hair salon in the States, take a look at that. They were all protected. So take your hand sanitizer, your wipes to wipe everything down. I mean, the airlines, apparently they're spraying with stuff, but something could get missed. So just wear your mask,
And
take your hand sanitizer, take your wipes, wipe everything down, and be smart about it. You
yeah,
should be fine.
and masks have been mandatory in the airport since April 20th. So I mean, everybody's been wearing a mask for 2 months and so on. And the flight itself is still every second seat, which just means that Steph and I get a row to
Think of it
ourselves.
this way, Jennifer, there'll be no lineups at the airport. It'll be an easy.
No,
You'll actually have
as long
leg
as
room on the plane.
Yeah.
Jackie just said no need to isolate if you drive. There you go. You should drive.
the problem with that is two things. One is it'll take us 4 days, and at 54 years old, I'm not sleeping in the car, and we would have to drive through Quebec, and I don't want to go through Quebec.
Oh, yes.
In New
I don't
Brunswick,
blame you there.
New Brunswick had 120 cases, and they were kind of good to go. And then one guy went to Quebec, picked up his daughter, came back, and there are now 157 cases stemming from that one gentleman.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, there was a doctor or something that crossed border. I don't know if it's the same guy. But
Apparently the story I have, and I don't know what the whole truth is because I haven't investigated, but what I've heard is that he's a practicing physician in a clinic. He went to pick up his daughter somewhere in Quebec. I don't know where the city he was. Came back, continued to see patients, and his son is sick, and they've, according to news reports, traced all of these other cases to him. So,
Wow.
so that's just how fast it can go, right? So driving's not an option. So
Yeah. All right. Well, we've gone over. So it is now 4:37, but we started late. But I thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you, Linda, for popping on.
Yeah, thank you
We
for
had
having me.
Matthew last week. So
Yeah.
he was watching. He's like, I'm busy multitasking. I just wanted to listen, but we ended up getting him on, and we saw his video, the Gilligan's Island PPP one. That was hilarious. Oh my
He's
God.
got a lot of videos. Some of them I'm like, oh my God. He entertains anyway.
That's how he's keeping his spirits up, right?
Yeah, because he lives alone. But I'm going out to California for a training for yoga. So far, so good. They're still having it. So
oh wow,
I might stop and see him.
Awesome. Well, nice. Well, I'm sure he'd love that because if he's lives alone and
he's got his dogs, but he's got neighbors too. He walks his dogs and he talks to all his neighbors. And usually he's on the phone with me.
yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, again, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Lynn. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you decide to join us more often.
I know. It just happened to be a quiet Friday, and I'm like, oh my God, it's a quiet Friday. And then I saw that popped up. You were there, and I'm like, oh, I know where I'm going. And I'm like, oh, I got the shirt on too. It's my favorite shirt. It's my favorite shirt.
Well, you know what? Those are the T-Sheets Rockstar shirts.
Yeah,
is what that is. When we looked at buying for the boot camp shirts, which it only goes to boot campers and honorary boot campers. Linda's an honorary boot camper. Linda and Matthew. I think we've got 3 honorary boot campers. Yeah. But when we looked at it, we thought we want to spend more. And that's what everybody said. The T-Sheets Rockstar shirts, they don't shrink. They're so soft. They love the color, the way that the black mixed in. That's an antique black with it. So love having connections over at Intuit. So I know the right people at Intuit who connected me with the people that actually ordered. So
Mhm.
they're promotional people that ordered the t-sheets or the shirts. So it's like, this is exactly what we need. The
Mhm.
t-sheets Rockstar shirts, and we get a little bit of a discount for, you know, having friends that into it too. So it,
Yeah, there you go.
it works out, but that's awesome. I'm glad you love it. And
I
it's,
do.
you've had that a year now,
I
and it
know.
still looks new. Like, look,
Oh, I know, and I wear it a lot. Let me tell you, I love the whole logo. I love the color. It just looks so good. It just looks so good, and it's so comfortable. It's
that's
just my.
awesome. And Stacey and Jennifer, you guys didn't wear yours today.
I know. I thought about it.
It's
No,
a
but
great logo, Tanya. It's a
It
great
is.
logo.
It really is.
thank you. It was.
I did get it though, so thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, have
I
you
did
worn
get
it
your
yet?
pack. No, I haven't. I'll wear it this weekend
They're nice
while I'm
and
around the house.
soft. They are nice.
You
and
won't want to take it off. It's that comfortable. It's just really comfortable, and it looks good. It's nice and it's nicely cut. It looks so good.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm glad you like it. Like I said, that's a year later. And yeah, if you
I
say you want it all
know.
the time, and that's good to know. Because again, if you're going to spend money on something, you
Mhm.
don't want to spend money on crap, right?
Yeah.
If you want people to wear it like this and promote
Yes.
it,
I actually wear yours more than the ones I made for our group, and they didn't last at all. They got like all out of shape. Where this is, yeah. You
see,
have to
so
give me
that's
the
what you
secret.
need. You just need to
I know.
say to the Intuit folks and go, okay, who's your peeps?
Yeah.
Get these.
Because I never talk to them. No, I'm kidding.
I know, right? I know, right? All right. Well, yes, thank you so much. Again, Lynn,
Thank you.
thank you for yourself as well. Hopefully, again, you enjoyed it today.
Yes.
And that's awesome. And thank you again, Diane. It's been a few weeks since we've seen you. And Jackie, thanks for joining us. Even though you're
It's
working in the
because
background.
I don't have a t-shirt.
What do you mean Diane doesn't have a t-shirt?
All right, well, maybe we'll have to talk. We've got some extras in the back somewhere. All right, and it's Stacey and Jennifer. Of course, I've seen you guys, you know, a few times today. It's our day on Friday, seems like, but I will see both of you guys on Monday anyway. So anyway, have a wonderful weekend, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so much
too.
for joining us,
Thank
and
you.
Bye.
see
Thank
you
you.
later.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.